Hello and welcome to How to Win the Lottery, Season 20, the Great American Novel Module Number 3, The Great Gatsby by Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald.
Great Gatsby.
I'm Joey Lewandowski.
And it's your boy Steve Harvey.
Welcome back. You've not been here in a while.
Yeah.
But is this a book that you read growing up and you wanted to come back for it?
Steve Harvey?
Yeah.
No.
You?
I've never read The Great Gatsby. I gotta go.
Okay.
Hi, this is Shreds.
Good to see you, Shreds. Good to see you, Steve Harvey. This is a book that I said to you before we started recording, feels like another book wasted on the young. Like I watched this when it came out. I own the Blu-ray, which
the Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
Yes.
Have you ever seen the Robert Redford movie?
No.
Much better. But also not that great.
Well, I know that you hate this one.
It's awful.
I think it'd be funny if your students were like, I can't believe how tall Jordan is. I mean, because like Elizabeth Debicki plays Jordan, right?
I guess so, yeah.
She's like 6'2". So I know that you watched it to be able to like catch them in the act. She's like, she's so tall.
Yeah. I don't know that's a thing in the movie. Like you wouldn't recognize it.
Well, she's 6'2". So that's all. I think a lot of movies hide her height. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this is a book that is wasted on high schoolers because I read it in high school and I was just like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then here, just like, oh my God.
Yeah, you can get stuff out of it insofar as, the writing is beautiful. And I think kids, I will say
and like funny.
For as much as this is wasted on the young, it is the book that is most well liked in my high school.
Okay.
Kids actually do like reading it and they ask about it and they enjoy having read it and they'll bring it up years later.
Good.
Like seniors that read it with me when they were sophomores will be like, remember The Great Gatsby? And they'll talk about it, or they'll use the book as a touchstone for other books. So like if you're reading another book with them later, they'll be like, oh, that's like in Gatsby when this happens.
Right.
So it is like a foundational piece of literature for them. So I don't know if it's wasted on the young, but there's definitely life lessons within the book that are very difficult to understand if you're not an adult.
I think that they're like reading it. There's also like, this is not the main thrust of it, but there is a little bit between Gatsby and Daisy where it's like, this is Romeo and Juliet. Like it's the same, like, it's not like this is a foundational thing for other things, but there's like two people who like fundamentally cannot be together.
Yeah.
Who like want to be together, but like fate won't allow, like old money, new money, or old money, no money, or whatever, right? Like there's definitely things to be paralleled from and to. But yeah, I think that this is a book. I also, because I read this in, I want to say maybe AP English, but it feels like that's an earlier high school than an AP English book. It feels like I read it later in high school.
We read it with sophomores.
But in my head, I couldn't, because I only read this once in high school. And I also read Catcher in the Rye once. And for when I was thinking about what this book was about, like I remembered the green light and I remembered the relationship or whatever, but I thought the phonies thing was in this. And I'm like, it also does kind of apply to this.
Well, there's the part where he says like, you're worth the whole damn lot of them together.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the only, like he hates Gatsby. Nick hates Gatsby, but he also hates everybody else more than he hates Gatsby. Or not, doesn't hate Gatsby, but he thinks Gatsby is a fraud and does not.
Certainly in the beginning. And then he learns to love him beyond his being a fraud.
Right.
There is the really, like, what I think of as a really funny scene. I don't even know if Fitzgerald means for it to be a funny scene, but when they're driving to lunch and Gatsby is like, by the way, old sport, here are my medals from war, and here's this photo in a frame that I have. He just like keeps pulling shit out of his car, like out of like his various pockets and stuff in the car, handing him stuff like you would never organically have on you,
right? Because
he's trying to like establish credibility. Here's a photo of me from Oxford, and here's my war medals from where is it, Montenegro, and here's all this other stuff showing that I'm actually who I say I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny.
Methinks the lady doth protest too much, basically, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's like, you don't have to try this hard. I believe you spent time at Oxford at some point. Maybe. Also, I don't care.
Yeah. Oxford.
What do you think about that guy who just fixed the World Series?
No, you know what's weird about that is like Meyer Wolfsheim, right, is a very, very broad anti-Semitic caricature. The name of his company in 1921 is the Swastika Holding Company.
Yeah.
Like this predates Nazis by quite a bit.
They also, like, Fitzgerald uses the word Holocaust before
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Holocaust, which I know that it has a word, but
yeah,
it's also
yeah,
like
to destroy with
he
fire.
says that, and then like 5 or 10 pages later they talk about the swastika. I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah, yeah.
This is crazy.
It's strange.
Anyway, but yeah, Meyer Wolfsheim, who just was a guy who just was decided, I see an opportunity, I'm going to fix the World Series. Like, that's just like a crazy person to drop in there.
Especially because that is like really contemporaneous to the writing of the book. That would be like if you wrote a book right now and had a character and that character was like, oh, this is the guy that like procured Epstein all of his like children.
Well, let's talk about Epstein. Because I mentioned in our thread with the egg, there's something about Nick writing this or telling the story years after the fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at least a year, if not multiple years after the fact. Like he has all the knowledge and all the information of like who everybody was and where things are. But like it talks about when he describes who was at Gatsby's parties, he talks about all these famous people, but the only things he ever really points out, like what they're notable for, are terrible things. It's like that guy is the guy who choked his wife. It's just like, oh, it's not like that guy cured cancer, not whatever. But it's like,
no, there's some people that are like, this person's a band leader, and this
but
person.
most of the things are notable for being like evil people, and I feel
gangsters and stuff. I think it's. I would say it's more analogous probably to Diddy, to like a Diddy party.
It also just feels like any kind of gathering of the ultra wealthy or the people who like want to be associated with the ultra wealthy are going to have dark shit associated with them.
Yeah.
But it does feel like, oh, this is a collection of dark people.
Yeah. So do we do a plot rundown?
Sure. How many times have you read this book? Because I know you teach
maybe
this
4,
book. Oh,
5 maybe.
Okay. When you teach a book, do you read that book every year?
Yeah.
Okay. So you read it not for this podcast, but you read it recently because you taught it this year.
I mean, I finished it like a week ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's still in the brain.
So hit us with the plot.
The narrator's Nick Carraway. He is.
Is this the most read American book? Do you think?
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would guess. I would guess that unless there's like some like Twilight or something like that.
Catcher in the Rye.
Catcher in the Rye's up there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like something that's just like 50 Shades of Grey, where it's like
where it's like everybody read it during this year.
Harry Potter, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. Harry Potter's not an American book though. Or did you just mean most read book in America?
I think the book read by the most Americans is what I was asking.
Fair enough.
But yes.
So Nick Carraway's the narrator, sort of a dull, asexual, doesn't really have anything going on in his own personal life, lives in the gardener's shed next to a immensely large mansion.
That reminds me of An Idiot Abroad, where Carl Pilkington's in a cave looking at a beautiful building. It's just like, I'd rather be here looking at that big building than being in a big building and look at the cave. It's like,
Yeah, sure.
I'm like, why would you not knock down? Because it's like, that house costs $10,000 a month. Mine's $80 a year. It's like, why would you not knock that house? Like, anybody with property values be like, knock that house down. Anyway.
Yeah. So Nick has a cousin named Daisy Buchanan, or this is like very funny to me, but maybe cut it out. My students, when reading aloud, because they're so like Hebrew brained, because they study Hebrew so frequently, like they were reading out loud and Daisy Buchanan, they said Daisy Buchanan. I was like, no. It's not Buchanan. It's just Buchanan.
That's good.
All right, maybe you can keep that in.
I like it.
So his cousin Daisy Buchanan, married to this fella Tom. He is. I still, no matter how many times I've read it, can't get East Egg and West Egg straight.
So West Egg is New Money. West Egg is where Gatsby lives. East Egg is where the
Tom
Buchanans live.
Yeah. So and they live right across from each other. This is like a sort of Long Island, and then the channel is Long Island Sound, right? It's the space in between. Daisy and Tom have a daughter, and Daisy and Tom have a very difficult relationship insofar as Tom cheats on Daisy pretty frequently.
It's like an open secret among the town.
Open secret.
The novel starts like talking about his mistress, who is also married.
Everyone knows that he, if not with this current mistress, everyone knows that he has cheated on Daisy because he had previously been in a car accident that got in the newspaper where the woman that he was with broke her arm. And so it was like widely reported that he was in this car with this woman. So Daisy knows, but Daisy maintains her faux ignorance of it, which is where you get that great line from her where she says that she hopes her daughter will be a beautiful fool because that's the best thing a girl can be, right? This idea that beauty opens doors, certainly, but like if you're not stupid, then you're going to suffer a lot of pain from that beauty because like guys will treat you shitty and just pretend like you're an object.
I think it's also just, generally speaking, easier to be a little bit dumber.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss. But I think like, especially, I feel like that's a very, like he's making a feminist adjacent comment there, saying like women especially need to, in order to not be unhappy, need to sort of put on blinders to how the world's treating
especially
them.
In the 1910s, the 1920s, where like suffragettes have like suffrage.
Yeah.
That's the noun. Suffragette is also a noun, but suffrage hasn't really happened yet, right? Like that's coming soon, but like they do not have, not that life is great for women today, but like it's way better now than it was.
Actually, like a huge thing that my kids always ask is like, why doesn't Daisy just divorce Tom and take half of his money? And I was like, it didn't really work that way back then. You can't just do that. And also, she would be like a fallen woman.
But also, she comes from like she would probably be okay, but maybe not. I don't know.
She doesn't come from Buchanan money though, which is like one of the super notable things is that like his pre-wedding gift to her is a string of pearls that's worth $350,000, which is like got to be millions, right?
It is worthy of $5.6 million, or like $6 million.
So just giving someone a $6 million like pre-wedding.
Well, but she also comes from money that like is so noteworthy that Gatsby feels like inadequate when he finds her money, right? Where it's like, oh,
yeah. So you have tiered wealth here, and then Gatsby's eventual wealth sort of dwarfs Tom's wealth.
But it's new money and it's gross.
But it's new money and doesn't matter at all, which is another thing that I have a hard time explaining to kids, like the difference between new money and old money, because now we don't shit on new money in the way that people
like
used to.
It seems like, and I would guess if you ask your kids, like it feels like new money is almost more desirable because like you did a thing, like you became an influencer and got money or something.
Well, no, also because if I say like, like Kim Kardashian is new money, they'll be like, she's not new money. Her dad was that lawyer. He was like, and it's like, that's not the same thing.
She's old privilege maybe, but new money.
Yeah, that's not the same thing. Like even, I don't know if even though Paris Hilton is Conrad Hilton's granddaughter, like I don't know that she is even old money, not in the same way that like the Rockefellers are or something like that, or the Buchanans in this case.
I also feel like old money in today's world is much quieter. Like you don't know, like names you know are basically new money.
Right.
You don't know old money names.
Yeah, because they're not like,
because they stay quiet.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They don't have the brand, whatever. And slowly, it is like for only being a novel that's about like 150 pages, 159 pages, something like that. It is like still kind of a slow paced novel.
Well, it's very like measured by design, and it feels like being able to tell the story. Like I was saying, in retrospect, he's not caught up in the emotion of a moment.
Yeah.
It's just like, here's what happened.
And it's unique because the narrator is a wallflower. He has no action in the text.
I think there's a thing that I realized here, and again, a book that you and I did not love, but I feel like this is the anti-I Love Dick, where that whole thing is a series of letters to this guy who she falls in love with after one night, and just like, that was the best night of my life. And there's a quote in here that I wrote down. Reading over what I have written so far, I see I have given the impression that the events of 3 nights, several weeks apart, were all that absorbed me. On the contrary, they were merely casual events in a crowded summer, and until much later, they absorbed me infinitely less than my personal affairs. It's just like, I actually don't give a shit. I'm just telling you the story about Gatsby, but like, that didn't impact, and maybe that's a lie, I don't know, but it feels like where I Love Dick was like, this is the most important night of my life. I met the man I'm in love with or whatever, which is crazy. He's just like, these are Gatsby stories, but like, it doesn't really, like, that's not my life.
But also, I think it shows you that when you're recalling things, when you're living things, you don't know what's necessarily important.
Sure.
Versus when you're reflecting on things, you go, oh, actually, these are the things that you can string together to make a plot, rather than like that other night that I did whatever, or, you know.
Well, I think there's also like, there's things that point out where like when Mrs. Wilson sees Tom in the car with Jordan.
Yeah.
And she like freaks out. He's like, only later did I realize what she thought she was seeing.
Yeah.
And like that is only noteworthy because of what happens later.
Yeah.
But in the moment, you're like, oh, I saw her open the window. Like, didn't think anything
I can't.
of it.
We'll get to that when we get to it. But like that part of the book is the one thing that I think is like there's a duality to it because in one sense I think, oh, that's actually like brilliant plotting. The way that clockwork comes together really works for me. But then there is a part where I'm just like the device where they switch cars is so like.
Yeah, I don't think
it's
there's
so unnatural.
I don't think there's any world in which Tom and Daisy are not in the same car.
And in which Gatsby's like, yeah, sure, drive my Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
I'll take your car.
Well,
what is the purpose of that?
I'm more okay with that because he's like, whatever you want, Daisy. Like, this is your world.
Yeah.
But I don't think Tom, even though I think Tom's a little bit of a cuck, and Gatsby's also a little bit of a cuck in this, I don't think that there's any version of the world where he, being fearful or worried about Gatsby's intentions, lets his wife in the car with...
On the drive in.
Either way.
No, because I think on the drive home it's pointed because he has completely and totally defanged Gatsby and he's saying, I've beaten you. Take my wife home. You can't do anything. Okay. You can't do anything with her at this point. I've already beaten you. But we'll get to that when we get to that because that's the best scene in the novel is that plaza scene when it's like really, really tense.
And everybody's really, really sweaty because it's really, really hot.
Yeah. Nick has this cousin Daisy, and Daisy's married to Tom. Nick's neighbor is this guy Gatsby, which we don't meet until a third of the novel is through, almost.
We see him outside, and he's just like, "Oh, I saw him outside." Then like we just like don't come back to him.
Yeah.
And also we meet him, and we don't know it's him. Like Nick doesn't realize who he is because he's just like, "Oh, I thought you knew."
Yeah. Which is another flaw with adapting this into a film because you're just like, "Oh, that's Leonardo DiCaprio." Yeah, this is the biggest movie star in the movie is obviously played by that guy.
Who plays Tom in the movie?
Joel Edgerton.
Okay.
It's fine. Carey Mulligan's fine. The casting is all fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing like Baz Luhrmann is the problem.
I mean, I like a Baz.
I do too, but he's not the right guy for this movie, which has to be slow, quiet, stately. The emotions have to be below the surface.
Yeah.
Tom, because he is this bold, masculine man, takes Nick out to meet his mistress, even though Nick's cousin is Daisy. And he introduces them and they have a party and they get drunk. And at that party, Tom punches his mistress in the nose, breaks her nose. Nick meets Gatsby, and then you have the party, and then Gatsby,
well, we find out like not the depravity, but the depths to which Gatsby has lived his life trying to recapture a former flame.
Yeah,
where he like goes from being a working class man to somehow having enough money to buy a big enough house to attract the attention specifically across the lake from where this woman lives. Which is like
which doesn't even work. It doesn't really work because she only even understands it when Jordan says Gatsby. And that's when she goes, oh, Gatsby? What Gatsby?
Right.
Because she knows the name.
I guess his thought is like, if I throw enough big parties, she will eventually show up.
Yeah. That's the idea.
Right. But there's also something like really profoundly sad about like when he finally talks to her.
At Nick's apartment where he's set up a date.
And that like thing that he has longed for and yearned for, like the green light no longer means anything because it's no longer like she's real. And he's like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, there's that line where it says like there's one less enchanted magical thing in the world.
Which is really sad.
Once the green light goes away. But that's again, that speaks to the theme of the inability to recapture the past, which goes from subtext to text when like Nick says that
you can't
to
do
Gatsby.
this. Of course you can.
Yeah, he goes, you can't recapture the past. And Gatsby looks at him like he's crazy and says, of course you can recapture the past.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can't, dude. You're proving that you can't as we go along and do this. And so Daisy and Gatsby, who had known each other 5 years previously and were separated because Gatsby had to go fight in World War I, end up getting back together.
There's also maybe it was different in World War I, but it feels like there's no bigger discrepancy between money and no money than someone who has to go to war and someone just like, why can't you just come home from war? Like I'm here.
Right. Yeah.
Don't you love me? It's like, I can't just.
No. And Daisy also like kind of gives Nick shit for not being at her wedding with Tom. And Nick was not at her wedding with Tom because Nick was also fighting in World War I. He's like, I couldn't. I was in a war.
Meanwhile, Daisy's just like sleeping around and just being like, oh, this guy has money. I'm like, he'll do.
Yeah. I really like Daisy, mostly because I think Daisy is the funniest character in the novel. She's the one that tells the most jokes. But she has all these qualities like
Not a single knock joke.
She speaks really quietly so that people have to like get really close to her to hear what she's saying. And she has like weird absurdist jokes where she says like, oh yeah, meet me there. I'll be the man smoking 2 cigarettes. And she's like, what is that? What are you talking about? That's such a strange thing to say. But also like she is in some ways kind of a manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah.
Right. Or at least in that like Gatsby has made her into this thing. But when we see her, she is like the most quick-witted person.
I mean, I think that there is a thing that Fitzgerald, I don't know if it's by design or not, that he does that like Nick is not, because they are related, he is not attracted, because this novel would be brutal if like he and Gatsby were both competing for the same woman, because it's just like that's never gonna work. But
well,
like,
she also makes a bunch of incest jokes at Nick where she's like about how Nick is in love with her and things like that. And there's the like, but it only works because Nick is her cousin, because there's the part where he's like, come to my house for lunch and don't tell Tom. Like if he weren't related to her, she would just be like, okay, don't tell my husband that I'm going on a date with you.
I mean, it's still weird that like he said, I mean,
no, but she understands because Tom's a dick.
Yeah.
She knows that like people don't want to hang out with Tom because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing that we should talk about is that Tom is like not only an old fashioned racist, but like he is like a modern white nationalist. Like he would fit very well in with the YouTubers of today.
Oh yeah, well, we were just talking about like, and then the next thing, like in that scene where we're gonna get to, where I think he's the one. It has to be him who says something about like, and this is gonna lead to interracial marriage.
Yeah,
and then Jordan's just like, but we're all what? Like, I don't understand. And everybody's just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, he starts talking. I mean, basically, when we first are introduced to him, he says like, I'm reading a book right now. It's very scientific. It's about how, and then he just lays out the great replacement theory that is like very popular now about how like minorities are going to replace white people and there just won't be any white people left. Daisy is rolling her eyes at him and going like, yeah, you know, he's so smart. He's been reading books. Ooh, they're so scientific, which is another reason to like Daisy because she knows that her husband's a dipshit asshole.
And she just married him because he has money? Like, is that why?
Well, no, but it can't be.
Or he was charming at one point?
Yeah, she, in the best scene, in the big scene in the book, the confrontation, when Gatsby is insisting that she tell Tom that she never loved him, she can't do it.
Yeah.
Because she did.
Right. There's a lot of like, not confusion, but it feels like both Gatsby and Tom are both like, tell him, the other one.
Yeah.
You never loved him. It's just like, no, like what? Like it feels everyone knows everyone knows Daisy's past, but nobody actually knows Daisy. Everybody thinks they do, but it's like, no, like it just.
Well, I mean, again, I think Fitzgerald is being feminist adjacent here because he is explicitly showing that these men are talking on behalf of Daisy and not really giving Daisy an opportunity to have a voice in the circumstance. So they're depriving her of any kind of agency of her own feelings, largely because the existence of her feelings are props for their own manhood. Like she is a dressing to their manhood. She's like a nice scarf or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we should talk briefly about the thing that Meg and I were talking about. That
I didn't read that
Invisible Ink.
Yeah.
There is arguments that this is a really homoerotic novel.
That Nick loves Gatsby.
Or just that Nick is gay. Because there is the scene after the party at Myrtle's when Myrtle gets her nose broken. And there's I think he's a photographer and the photographer's wife. Do you remember them?
I don't know.
Okay, so there's the photographer and the photographer's wife at that party. And then they they're all drinking really heavily. We should also note that this book entirely takes place during Prohibition. So in spite of all the heavy drinking, it is all illegal and they're all like breaking the law while drinking. The end of that chapter ends with Nick waking up in that guy's bed and like getting dressed while that guy's shirtless. And so if you read it, there's like two ways to read it. You can say like, well, Nick got really drunk at that party and he had to sleep it off in this other guy's bed. Or it's like, Nick went back to that guy's house and they
hooked up.
They fucked.
Well, it seems like he is in love with Jordan because society wants him to be.
He's not interested in Jordan.
And like at the end, he's just like, I don't know. Like I'm 30.
Yeah.
I got a bad decade ahead of me. My hair's going to thin. Like you're not going to want this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like he ever cares. It just feels like, well, there's basically 2 women and Daisy's loved by the 2 guys that I hang out with. So there's this other girl who's just like around and she's like accomplished. So like I might as well.
Yeah.
But like it never feels like.
I mean, all of his affection in the text goes to Gatsby. And there is stuff where he's like, Gatsby has that like charming smile. And when he looks at you, the world pauses and things like that. Things that you would say if you were talking about someone that you might be in love with. But I think that that's like more of a masculine admiration.
I don't get the sense that he's like, I can see. That's what I like about like what we do, but also like you could pick anything, but I don't think like I would not argue
I think it's a common argument. I think of Nick as just being like totally asexual. I don't think of him as or
just kind of like a loser and like a drift in life. Like I think this really works because he has no ambition. Like the text works because like he's not doing anything in almost any scene.
Right.
And he's not involved in any of the conflicts. He's just like there to sort of report on the news.
Right. Which is why it is, and I've said this a million times, an anti-cinematic novel. It is not adaptable, really. Because you would just end up with fucking Tobey Maguire as wallpaper going like, and then this happened.
Right.
And then this happened. What would normally not be a character at all is now a character doing the reporting, but you have to insert the character into scenes when he should be fading into the background, but you've hired Tobey Maguire for it, so you have to give him more stuff to do than he would normally do, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Isla Fisher as Myrtle in that movie, and Jason Clarke as George Wilson.
I like him.
Yeah. So Myrtle is the wife of this guy, George Wilson, who owns a garage. Tom goes there to the garage, is like always maybe going to sell his car to this guy, but he's really just going there so that he can hook up with this guy's wife, bring her out of the city, all under the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, which is like a very, very obvious, not subtle at all, to the point where Wilson says it to Michaelis later on in the text, like
God sees everything.
Those are representative of God's eyes, like watching over the sin in the Valley of Ashes. All of the like a lot of the play's moral transgressions happen under those eyes.
There's also something really sort of nice about the like, oh, like he went out of business a while ago, like just the billboard never came down, like it's just there, and like those are the eyes I would assume on the cover of every copy of this book that isn't my copy of the book.
No,
it's Gatsby's eyes. Or
no, that's Daisy. I think that's a girl.
Oh,
yeah.
I just sort of assumed like big. I mean. As we know, I mean, we haven't talked on here. I have a copy of this book that is not is not the cover.
Yeah, the weird one. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up.
While you do that, I want to go get my copy because I want to see. I haven't looked at it since I bought it. So hold on. So you think that's Daisy?
Well, it's not T.J. Eckelberg because it's not glasses.
Yeah, my cover is just a guy in a suit in front of a car.
Sure. Yeah.
Unclear if it's Nick or Gatsby. Probably Gatsby.
Yeah.
I like this profile picture of.
That's the same one in my book too. Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's a handsome boy.
Yeah. We were saying about the eyes.
Yeah, so this is, I think it's I don't think it's hackneyed, but it is it's not subtle. This metaphor about those eyes watching over this place where moral transgressions happen. Like a lot of the moral transgressions of the book, from Tom's initial infidelity to the hit and run that is the book's climax.
There's also, I mean, Margaret and I are watching right now The Sopranos because she's never seen it, and there's the scene where Bobby Bacala's spoilers for The Sopranos. Minor spoilers. But Bobby's wife gets killed in a car accident and he's like in traffic. He's just like, oh, what's going on? Like, I'm so late to pick up my whatever. And then he only later realizes like I was in the traffic of the accident where she died. And like you see Tom here, and it's not his wife, but it's his mistress. And his wife is the one who hits her. And he's just like, ooh, there's an accident. It's a juicy one. It's just like, guy, you have no idea. It also kind of shows, I think, maybe just that Tom sucks, but also there's an obviously irony there where he's just like, ooh, like we get to see like a real good accident. Just like, no, it's your mistress, your guma in The Sopranos parlance, was murdered by your wife in a hit and run. Good luck.
Yeah. Okay. And then, and that's a little bit before, but then Gatsby and Nick become very close, and there's something very fake about Gatsby. There are all these rumors about Gatsby, that he's a relative of the Kaiser, that he killed a man, that he's a bootlegger, that he did this or that.
At least one of those is true.
Nick sort of meets him, and Gatsby talks to him, and it's so funny because one of the things that like I feel like everybody knows about Gatsby is the old sport thing. Him saying like, "Oh,
it's a lot.
Old sport,
it's very
old
often.
sport," and but it works because it's very often because it's both Nick in the beginning and then Tom at the end are like, what is the deal? Like, it is weird that you say that all the time. It seems fake. And the stupidest part of the movie, of the Baz Luhrmann movie, is there is an origin story to him saying old sport.
Ooh, like Solo.
And it is Dan Cody.
Yeah.
Like when he's rescuing Dan Cody from the boat, Dan Cody goes, "What are you doing?" And then it goes into slow motion. He says, "What are you doing? Old sport."
Well,
it's so bad.
This is very like Mad Men or The Guest, where it's like kind of stolen valor. It's like, yeah, I'm like taking somebody else's story. The Guest isn't really stolen valor. The Guest is just sort of like homicidal, whatever, where he's hiding out. But like Mad Men, like Don Draper, right? Like it's,
yeah.
I haven't seen all of Mad Men, but
I'm not gonna.
But there is something there.
So that is the plot device in the first. In that is a plot device that is abandoned fairly.
Good. There's something where Gatsby is so phony, to use Holden Caulfield's, where it's just like he's going to lean into this so hard, and even more so when people maybe call him out on it. But it's just like, no, like this is how I talk. Like how we talk in Oxford, we just say old sport, and we make sure that like we're all friends here.
It's also, by the way, in like season 3 or 4 of the TV show You.
We haven't talked about You in a while.
One of the characters keeps saying old sport. It's just like you're just trying to be Gatsby, man. It's incredibly lame.
I bet there's so many like guys in their 20s who tried to do that. Do you think it's weird, talking about Leo again for a second, that he did this and The Wolf of Wall Street in the same year? Where it's like, I'm going to go from no money to all the money. Like those are not the same story, but those are very similar sort of rags to riches.
They're not. They are similar stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one's a great movie and one's, you think, not.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since theater, so.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe watch it. Maybe watch it now because you have the book is fresh in your head, so you can like know the real differences in it.
I like the scene, also talking about movies of that era, maybe of this era, not the 1920s, but when they have the date at Nick's house and like Gatsby's like so nervous. Like it reminded me of the Joker in The Dark Knight, where he's just like, I'm a dog chasing cars. Like he's like, I don't know what to do that Daisy's here. He's like, Nick, can you come in the room with me? Like we got to talk about Daisy because like Daisy's here. Like, do you know that Daisy's here? He's like, yeah.
It's really Nick's shining moment too, because he's just like, you're acting like a baby. Get your shit together and get in there. Aren't you being rude to her? Don't you think she's also nervous? Get back out there, buddy. So yeah, I like, Nick gets that moment.
But it works because they get together and like they have like their affair is so in the open that it feels like literally maybe, but also figuratively, like every time Tom leaves the room, like they just make out. Like
I think because he has to fire his servants.
Well, yeah, but I think that they're like when they are in private, like there's this scene I think where they're like Tom goes away or whatever, and like they kiss, and then like her daughter walks up and just like, this seems crazy to be doing this in front of the kid.
Well, there's also the part, I mean, in that it's in that scene where I don't remember who says it to who. I think Nick says it, and then Gatsby completes the thought. But he says like her voice is like she's and Gatsby says her voice is full of money.
Yeah.
She's indiscreet.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't like understand that there can be consequences for the things that she does, because she's always been protected by piles and piles and piles of money.
Well, I think it is the openness of their affair that leads him to fire his entire staff, where just like they are not hiding it, and like people are beginning to talk.
Yeah. Do you have the thing quoted? Is that why
somewhere? I highlight a lot of stuff because in case you don't know, like this book is pretty good.
Yeah.
She's got an indiscreet voice, I remarked. It's full of, I hesitated. Her voice is full of money, he said suddenly. That was it. I'd never understood before. It was full of money. That was the inexhaustible charm that rose and fell in it, the jingle of it, the symbols song of it. High in a white palace, the king's daughter, the golden girl.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit. Like that's.
Yeah, there's no chance of her ever facing consequences for anything that she does.
Nope.
And because that's been her life, she doesn't hide. She doesn't need to hide things. She doesn't act
right
as someone that will ever deal with the problems of what she's done. And we see by the end of the book that remains true, right? She never faces the consequences for the things she does. She lets other people handle them.
So much so that Gatsby is murdered for it.
Yeah.
What do you think George would have done had Daisy confessed to it, like that she was driving?
I don't know. He still would have killed himself.
Right.
Let's talk about that, about the stuff prior to that, though.
Yeah, let's talk about the big fight on the hottest summer day, which is also Nick's birthday, which is like, oh yeah, by the way, it's my birthday.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. He's such a background character to his own life that he can't even. Well,
I also made a note. My first note in reading this is that he is so out of control, and not like in a crazy way, but like has no control over his own life, that him moving to this house isn't even his decision. Like he was going to go in with the guy, and the guy's like, actually, you know what? Never mind. He's like, well, I'm already on the fucking hook. Okay, I guess I'll live there. Yeah. It's like they were going to live out there together and like commute in together and like do this whole thing. He's just like, okay, I guess I'll do it. It's like from the jump, he has no control over like what he wants to do with his life.
And early on, he notes himself as like a politician, right? He said, or I don't know if he more a people pleaser than anything. And he said, and he notes that like that's made people not like him in the past because he really won't take sides during something. He will try to like appease both sides the whole time. So those are his qualities are all ones that make him into someone that fades into the background.
Right. But yeah, let's talk about the hot summer day where all they want is ice.
And mint julep.
Yep. Refreshing.
An air-conditioned movie theater, maybe.
They're like, let's get 5 bathrooms?
Yeah, they're going to get 5 baths. So they're going to, I guess they're like tubs side by side.
And just like hang out in ice baths.
That sounds cool, actually.
That sounds like the most money shit of all time.
Yeah, but like I would do that. And if
back when ice was hard to get.
Right. It's that's like what is it? I think it's a Gabriel Garcia Marquez book. That starts with like I was 13 years old the first time I saw ice or something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But who all's here? It's Tom and Daisy.
Tom and Daisy, Nick and Jordan.
And Gatsby.
5
of them.
Which is Gatsby's the odd man out, right? Because he's the guy that's not in a couple.
Right.
And so Tom.
Although if you ask him, Tom's the odd man out.
Yeah, but Tom is immediately like, what is this guy even doing here with us? Nobody likes him. He's weird. He I know all this stuff about him because he's been doing investigations into him. But Gatsby is, at this point, intent on getting Daisy to break up with Tom.
Right.
And it's safe for Daisy to break up with Tom because she has an even wealthier man in Gatsby. And her status will not be hurt because Gatsby is admired and loved in the
although
well, I mean, this is why it doesn't work because Tom exposes why he won't be admired and loved. Tom exposes him as someone who didn't come about his money in an honest way. He's essentially a criminal. He's Al Capone, right?
I know I'm not very popular. I don't give big parties. I suppose you've got to make your house into a pigsty in order to have any friends in the modern world.
Yeah.
I mean, like you can tell that Gatsby's not popular because literally no one comes to his funeral.
And also when he's at the parties, nobody talks to him. His parties are a symbol for isolation because he's a guy that even in a large crowd of people that are there only because he makes it possible for them to be there through great effort. Remember, there's that whole big long scene where it's like, we have 5,000 oranges and we arrange for these Rolls Royce caravans.
There's also a very funny thing that said like it can turn 600 or whatever the number is, like turn 60 oranges into 60 glasses of orange juice with 60 pushes of a button by a servant. It's like it doesn't really have a machine. It's just like a guy, like it's still a machine, but like still the guy has to do the work. Like it's not magic. It's like manual labor, just a little bit better.
Yeah, but he's at these parties not talking to anybody. He's not like he's basically a ghost.
Well, there's something maybe admirable about that. Where just have a good time. Like I'm doing this, like free booze, whatever. But it's also like, again, to your point about Leo, it just feels like in my mind, this is another thing. Like I don't remember, in my head, there's the scene. I think it's also like a GIF or whatever of him dancing, like that crazy dance in the tuxedo. And like, I don't know if that's from this movie or Wolf of Wall Street. Cause like it's the same.
No, I think that's from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
No, it's definitely not that. It's one of these two. Like there's a scene that I have in my mind. It might not be a GIF, whatever, but like it just so blends the two. But to your point, like in the movie, when it is Leo, it just feels like he can't not be the center of the party.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's it. It's like he's a movie star.
Right.
That guy's a movie star.
Like who would you I mean, he has to be somebody handsome.
I think Robert Redford was really good casting.
Okay.
But like right now, I mean, how old is Gatsby?
I have no idea.
33?
Maybe.
35?
Yeah. He needs to be handsome and not like necessarily charming.
Jake Gyllenhaal? He's probably too old.
He's like 50, yeah.
Yeah, but like
Directed by Richard Kelly. Reunite the two.
Richard Kelly's Great Gatsby would be fucking awesome. It would be so like, he'd be like, no, we're really going to go into the Meyer Wolfsheim stuff. And it's going to like
we open on the 1919 World Series.
Yeah, Richard Kelly's Great Gatsby would be like, so much of it would be like that one scene in Babylon that doesn't really fit in with the rest of the movie, where they're like in the dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Yeah, Damien Chazelle. If this was like 5 or 10 years later, Damien Chazelle would have been the one.
He could do it.
Make.
Yeah, Bennett Miller could do it too. I feel like I'm always pitching Bennett Miller for adaptations, but I think he would be a good.
He did Moneyball, right?
He did Moneyball. He did Capote, and he did Foxcatcher.
Okay.
He hasn't made anything in since Foxcatcher.
Where's he at?
He made a documentary on AI. He's been making a documentary on AI. I think he just finished it, but it's like kind of funny because like you take 10 years to make a documentary about AI.
Outdated.
Yeah, the first 9 years of your research are no good.
No, the first 9 years and 11 months and 3 weeks of your research are no good.
Yeah, so what's the point, man?
So talk about the scene where everybody's angry at each other.
I think it's one of the great scenes in literature because and not for the reason that, again, they fuck up in the movie where it's like they have a fist fight. The reason why it's great is because there's so much quiet tension, and that tension, it bubbles over, but not in a way that explodes into violence or anything like that.
Well, just like a perfect combination of different types of ego, right? Where it's like, it's all entitlement and it's all people who assume that they have what they have, or that they are owed what they're owed, or whatever. And none of them really are.
Well, and again, and
no one is.
I think this is something that I feel like we've talked about a couple of times in a row, maybe. I don't know. Our order is all weird, so I don't know.
We did Sarah Levine, and then the last module we just released was Minnesota.
But like I feel like a couple of episodes in a row I've talked about this idea of the climax of a book being the point where all the characters get in a room together, like one room.
Yes.
Where they all like converge on the single point. And that's what happens here, right?
Well, it either works well or just like, why are all these people together?
Yeah, but everyone in this room has their own agenda with this. And it's like Jordan's there for the tea, right? Tom is there to maintain Daisy. Gatsby is there to win Daisy away. Mm-hmm. Daisy is there as an object. Mm-hmm. She is not given any agency of her own.
And George is there because it's a thing to do.
And Nick is there to observe and record.
Yeah.
Which is like, even by the end of the book, when Tom tries to shake Nick's hand, and at first he won't do it. Like by the end of that scene, Nick is shaking Tom's hand because he can't shake the idea that he like needs to be liked.
Yeah.
Weak, man.
Well, there's really no man in this book that comes off well.
Yeah.
Like Nick is the best by comparison, and like just because he's like neutral, slightly negative, right? Like Tom is an asshole, Gatsby's pathetic, George is insane, and like, you know,
well, he's homicidal, but he's also like maybe
wronged.
Yeah,
but still, it feels like he's probably doing like the fact that when they're talking about it, just like. That guy was just like, I heard him say like he's got his wife locked upstairs and we're going to keep her up there until we move away tomorrow. It's just like, that's not the thing that a normal man's like. I understand that he's upset, but just like, you don't lock your wife upstairs and be like, you stay there till we move out of town tomorrow. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Because on the way into the city, to the plaza, where they go to the Plaza Hotel, for some reason, Gatsby drives Tom's car and Tom drives Gatsby's car. So when they pull in to get gas, Myrtle, Tom's mistress, sees Tom driving Gatsby's Rolls Royce. We learn also at this point that...
And Jordan's next to him.
Yeah. And we learn at this point that George has discovered that Myrtle is cheating on him with someone, doesn't know who it is, but knows that Myrtle is cheating on him and is planning on moving to Los Angeles in the next couple of days. And has locked Myrtle up in the room upstairs.
Moving with her.
Yeah.
Starting a new life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he needs to take her away. So Tom, the tension for Tom here is like...
Can I have a question for you? When they get, at one point talk about the Midwest and they talk about San Francisco.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know what that's about either. I have no idea why they refer to San Francisco as the Midwest. I don't know.
I mean, it's the middle of the West Coast, but still.
I've thought about that every single time.
Okay.
Every time that I've read this book, I've been like, I don't know what that's about. Yeah.
Well, I always thought, like, as a kid, I'm like, why is the Midwest here, but the Middle East is, like, over there? Like, that doesn't... Anyway.
That's because the Middle East is relative to London.
And the Midwest is relative to just the U.S.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So when you say the Far East is like,
Asia.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And Southeast Asian countries is India. This is all relative to England.
But England is still part of the West.
Yeah. The Western world. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's all like pretty racist, or like at very least like ethnocentric to
anything that originated in England is a little bit racist, at least at the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
So we get this plot device of them switching cars and of Myrtle noticing Tom driving Gatsby's car, thinking that that's Tom's car. They fight in when they're in the plaza. Gatsby is trying to make Daisy
admit
that she's never loved Tom, which she ultimately cannot do.
Because she did love Tom.
Because she did at one point love Tom. Tom then reveals to everyone how Gatsby made his money.
Bootlegging. Or selling grain alcohol over the counter.
Yep, at pharmacies across America. And
good work if you can get it.
Yeah, there's also a funny part earlier in the book where Gatsby's like, I told him small town. This guy's idea of a small town is Detroit.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Detroit's a small town.
Mm-hmm. I mean, compared to Chicago or New York.
I guess so. So they fight, and then we realize that Gatsby has just lost Daisy based on this information, because Daisy is nothing if not like a person looking for status.
Yep.
And she can't have status with a criminal. Again, because it would be like dating Al Capone, being married to Al Capone, rather than being married to a Rockefeller or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so they get into their original cars. Gatsby now drives Gatsby's car. Tom is now driving Tom's car.
Although Daisy is so shaken up but we don't, but yes.
Daisy, ultimately we learn that Daisy is the one driving Gatsby's car.
Right. Which feels like a crazy thing. Like, she is so rattled that he's just like, you drive, that'll even you out.
Yeah. We've all been drinking. Let's just, and then another funny thing is that like they are going like 40 miles an hour. So it's like not even that fast.
But I think like in those cars on those roads, it's crazy, but it is just like, he's going 50. Can you, it's just like, okay.
Yeah. A funny thing is that the first automobile accident death ever was someone was hit by a car going like 10 miles an hour or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then there was like someone gave like a big speech that was like, we need to ensure that this never happens again.
Got bad news for you.
So they go back to, they're driving back to Long Island or West Egg, East Egg. And upon seeing Gatsby's car, Myrtle comes running out because she thinks that it's Tom. She thinks that she's going to get whisked away.
Which also shows you how slow these cars are going. Yeah, she can run from upstairs to outside to get hit by the car she sees.
Yeah, she runs into the street waving her arms. Daisy thinks that because Daisy has no idea who Myrtle is.
Right.
She just thinks that this is a crazy woman. So she just keeps the car going and hits her with the car, which in a bit of like sort of shocking violence, the only violence in the book, severs her breast from her body.
Just like flapping around.
Yeah, which is, when you read that, it is kind of like, ooh, like yikes.
Yeah.
They go back. Gatsby reveals to Nick that Daisy was the one that was driving, that he will not let her take the blame for it. He hides his car in the driveway. They wait a couple days, I guess. He never hears from Daisy.
Well, he like waits outside her house and like she just like looks out and just like closes the window, right? Like it's just like we're done. And
then we get a shift in perspective where Nick all of a sudden knows a bunch of shit about what happened with George Wilson and his neighbor Michaelis.
He's like, let's go back to that and talk about what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know how we're meant to know that Nick knows all this stuff.
I mean, I think it's just months or years later, probably like there was like an article written about it or something that like,
and then he imagines
local millionaire dies. Like, here's what's going. Like, I don't know. There's probably just gossip or whatever. Like,
but then he imagines all the stuff with Michaelis talking to George, and he like invents that dialogue and stuff. Sure. And we learn that George is absolutely shaken up and is now like leaves and goes door to door, essentially looking for the car.
But it seems like it doesn't take that long to figure out, oh, this is the richest man in town and he also has this car.
Well, he shows up to Tom's house with a gun.
Right.
If we're to take Tom's word for it, although we don't necessarily have to take Tom's word for it, maybe Tom's lying about this. Tom says he threatened him with the gun, and that's when he told him that it was Gatsby, which I don't know that we need to necessarily blame Tom for, because Tom, as far as we know, Tom really did think that it was Gatsby.
Well, also, like, I think it's maybe easier to blame your enemy than your wife.
Yeah, but I don't think Daisy told Tom that Daisy's the one who was driving the car.
No, I think it's a secret that only Gatsby and Nick know, and Daisy, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody else knows that.
And but anyway, so Tom says it was Gatsby. Jay Gatsby hit your wife and killed her. So, and was probably her the person that was sleeping with her or whatever.
So he offloads that one too.
So George Wilson goes to Gatsby's house and kills him.
And then kills himself.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Nick.
And again, like, in a thing that, like, I don't want to keep saying when there's a thing, like, it's so played down. I mean, it becomes a thing like newspaper reporters show up and whatever, just like shots ring out. Like, that's all, like, there's just a couple words where it's not like, and then we saw him go in the backyard and there was a big fight or whatever. Just like, no, he just was there. And
my students were upset with this because they, one of them told me that it was bad writing, that he thought it was bad writing because he didn't get the like, and the lead severed his spine and blood splattered into the, like, he wanted a really descriptive element. And I said to him, like, look, you have to do that in your brain. You're not like, the book doesn't give you that stuff. Right. The book is invoking the idea of murder and then you fill out the murder with your brain.
Right.
But he's, they're TV kids and movie kids, which.
Right. And also, like, they had just witnessed tragic violence in Myrtle, right? Like, or not witnessed, but read about, like, her breast flapping. So, like, the book kind of set somewhat of a precedent by being like, we can be graphic too. Do you think?
Yeah, but they've also, I mean, you also have to think that these are kids that, for example, have seen Charlie Kirk get shot, right? It's like in 1920, except for all of the people that had gone to World War I, like,
no one had seen violence. Really,
people didn't like personally witness violence, right? It's not, but now everyone knows what a gunshot looks like up close.
Is there? I'm sure that this has been, again, to the point of like, what is there more to say about Gatsby? But like, I'm sure this has been written about a million times. But what is the irony or what is the metaphor of him finally using the pool, like getting shot in the pool? Just that he has all this wealth and doesn't actually use it. Yeah. It's just like finally enjoying it to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Like he doesn't take advantage of any of the things that he has. He doesn't enjoy his life.
Okay.
And then the falling action of the book is essentially Nick trying to arrange his funeral. And
nobody shows up. And also he meets his dad, and his dad seems like
very sweet.
There's a really, really sad thing about like his dad is of the age where death no longer surprises him, and it just seems more like happy that his son kind of made it. It's just like,
he's very much like, my son is the type of person that built America. And he would have, had he lived, he would have been a massively influential figure.
Big brains in that kid. It's just like, yeah.
And he shows the thing from when he was a kid that has the list of all, like, it's like exercise, don't smoke, save this amount of money, work on elocution.
He was an American boy.
He's an American boy through and through.
That's exactly the list that he had an American boy. Do you think that was a Gatsby thing?
Maybe.
But I also like it, just like save $5, $3.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to spend a little bit more money.
And the only person that goes to the funeral is Owl Eyes, the guy from the library much earlier in the book.
And it's really is it unclear how he knows about it? Like it just...
Yeah, I mean he's maybe the only decent person. Because remember, Clip Springer, the organist guy, calls to be like, can you mail me my shoes?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to the funeral.
I have a picnic tomorrow or something?
Yeah, I got a picnic. And then Wolfsheim won't go, because Wolfsheim, for like better reason, Wolfsheim is just like, we got to celebrate people when they're alive. I don't need to. I've seen enough death in my life.
I do like early in the book when Allies is just like, can you believe all these books are actually books? Like he
yeah.
It's not just like a wall of like things. Like they're all pages with words on them.
But then he also notes that none of them, because back then you had to use the letter opener to open up the pages of the books because they were all like sealed. He knows that none of them have been read.
Well, yeah, it's just like is wealthy to have, like, he probably has like the amount of money where just like it doesn't make any sense anymore, and just might as well fill your house.
I mean,
with
that's
trophies.
what all that. Remember, there's like the scene where he's throwing like shirts and pants, and then Daisy's like crying, and she's like, "I've never seen such beautiful shirts."
Yeah.
It's like, well, come on, Tom has beautiful shirts. Get it together, girl.
Maybe it's like the Dan Flash's shirts from I Think You Should Leave, where they're so complicated. There's
They
so
should,
many patterns.
if they did The Great Gatsby with
Tim
like Tim
Robinson
Robinson as Gatsby and Joe Pera as Nick, like that is a movie. That's a movie.
Yeah. Okay. Conor O'Malley as George.
No, Conor O'Malley is Tom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
George would be maybe that Carmen.
Carmen Christopher.
Yeah. Yeah. And then who's
Well, I think Jordan has to be Joe Firestone.
okay. And then Daisy is like Keira Knightley. Like someone who's just like the most beautiful person in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be so fucking good. Directed by who? Who should direct it? But then like you fill it out, it's like Owl Eyes is like Tim Heidecker.
Yeah.
Wolfsheim is like Nathan Fielder.
Yeah. Who directed Friendship?
Maybe like Martin Scorsese.
Friendship was directed by Andrew DeYoung. He could do it.
Isn't I think that in Entourage, I think Vinny Chase plays Gatsby in a Martin Scorsese movie. That show's so stupid.
I will still go to bat for the fact I think that trailer is one of the best trailers for the Entourage movie.
Yeah.
Because it starts as a trailer for a movie
Vinny
he's
Chase's
making.
movie.
And then it goes from the producers of Aquaman. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is so, like, the movie's terrible, but
Yeah.
I was literally blown away by the trailer. I was like,
God bless.
I was like, this looks so shitty. And I'm like, oh, they're making fun of themselves.
Yeah.
Like it.
I
Anyway.
want to see this version of Gatsby though.
Tim Robinson as Gatsby, Joe Pera as Nick. Yeah. That's all you need.
Conor O'Malley as Tom,
Joe Firestone as
Jordan, and Keira Knightley as Daisy.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you could just do the friendship thing, and like Kate Mara is Daisy, but like
No,
Keira
no.
Knightley.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, it should be Keira too because she's like I feel like she's like the high literature person.
Sure.
Do you want to talk about the green light at all? Because the green light is like something that's such like a high school literature thing.
Well,
to
yeah,
talk about.
if we were able to do music, we could just do Lord's Green Light because I think that's a song probably about
probably
love or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a good song. No, I mean, the sad. I mean, maybe the saddest part for me in the book is when he's like, "Oh, the green, like what you said before, like there's like a little bit less magic." Like, I think what I remembered about it is the end of Nick, like before he leaves, like looking in the green light and remembering all the things that happened. But it's like that doesn't matter. Like that all happened. Like when the green light goes from being like that's where the woman I love who loves me lives, and then she's here and just like that's just a light now. Just like that is, ooh.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Yeah. But then it ties directly into the ending, which is like some of the most famous final lines in any book ever. So we beat on boats against current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. But also like before then, it's like, tomorrow will run faster, reach further. Like Gatsby never gave up hope for the orgastic future. And so much of that is this idea that you can live a beautiful future by recapturing your past.
Yeah.
And it is this specifically the American dream, the American conservative dream of nostalgia, right? Because conservatism, as I think William F. Buckley Jr. refers to it as the like standing athwart the wheels of history and telling everything to stop, because you don't want things to go on, because you want like your boyhood. That your boyhood is the America that you want. And so Gatsby wants not his boyhood, but his time with Daisy before he went
pre-war,
his
before he
pre-war
became a
boyhood.
man. Yeah.
And not only that, but like there is like such a funny observation that Nick has when Gatsby is talking about like, well, old sport, I spent some time collecting rubies in Europe. Like I was some Raja and blah, blah, blah. And like in your head, you're like, well, he's fucking Indiana Jones. Like what is going on here? And Nick immediately clocks it. He's like, oh, Gatsby is like a 17-year-old boy's version of a rich guy.
Yeah.
Like he is the person that like you imagine as a child you would be as a rich man.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the way that actual rich people are. He is like a coloring book boy's adventure version of a rich person, which is sad. There's something really sad about that. It's a bit like if like Jeff Bezos had a Star Wars Stormtrooper statue in his bedroom at home. He
probably does.
Yeah, he might, right?
It's the confidence of the old money that we don't see, whereas the new money is like, I'm going to spend 300, however many, like whatever money that Bezos spent on his super yacht, which was either hundreds of millions or billions of dollars or whatever.
Yeah.
And Gatsby's like, I'm going to buy every book that's ever been made, but I'm not going to read them. It's just like, well, I need to spend the money on something. It's like, no, you don't really need to.
Yeah. And it's also just like, it's that like athlete thing of like, I never had money before. And now that I'm an 18-year-old who just got drafted, I'm going to buy a Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm. And like when your like knee buckles after 2 years and like you are broke, then it's like, well, that was a bad investment. But like,
which is why people like talk smack on new money because they just like don't know how to handle it.
I mean, do you think that like after Prohibition ends, like if Gatsby were not murdered, would he continue or would he like?
I mean,
or he's a criminal. So I mean, he would have some kind of criminal enterprise.
Prohibition gave birth to organized crime in America.
Right.
It is why like we have crime empires that still exist kind of. And so like Gatsby probably would have just been,
I mean, we talked about this, the Reimeringer and the St. Paul thing, right? It's just like nothing to see here.
Yeah. So you would have the Gatsby Wolfsheim crime empire.
Hell yeah. More World Series fixed.
Yeah. That would be funny if someone wrote The Great Gatsby 2 and it was just like, well, they restructured Gatsby's spine and he went into hiding. And then he's like in a wheelchair and he's just like, bring me the head of Tom Buchanan.
I'd watch it, read it, consume it.
It would probably be a comic book. It's like Gatsby 2, the graphic novel.
So like Fight Club 2, but Gatsby 2.
But Fight Club 2 is written by Chuck Palahniuk and I think is like a legitimate sequel.
And Fight Club 3 also. But like it's still...
Have you bothered with it?
I read Fight Club 2. I have not read Fight Club 3.
Do you remember anything that happens in Fight Club 2? It just disappears from your head because it's not...
Mm-mm. But most things just disappear from my head.
Right.
Got nothing going on up here.
Yeah.
We got an email address, lottery at... You want anything else to say?
I don't think so. Meg might like shake loose a few rocks as she normally does.
Email address, lottery at Cage Club. I mean, she sent another text today that was spoiler. She said, after I finish, what did she say today? I think in the context of the novel, it'd be where pedophiles are. East Egg because the old money people don't face any consequences of their actions. I guess so.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, Afroman 1. Okay.
Nice. We have an email address, lottery at Cage Club. I mean, also news while we were recording, David Fincher's The Adventures of Cliff Booth is coming out in August.
That's cool.
And this episode comes out in June, so not that far away. You already know this because we are 3 months behind. We were recording this 3 months ago to the day. Meg's reaction to The Great Gatsby. Lottery at Cage Club. I mean, if you want to write about this book or any book. I ran out of time to write anything meaningful about this book, but I guess, what can I say that hasn't already been said?
We did,
about
to be fair to both Meg and you, we had an incredibly quick turnaround time on this novel.
But also, like you said,
it was like 4 days or something.
It's like 150 pages. Like you could read this in like 3 hours if you want to.
Yeah.
Instead, I'll mention the two parts that I found funniest in the book. The second funniest scene in the book is when Nick is telling someone that he's never met Gatsby. The guy goes, I am Gatsby.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
And the funniest scene is when Nick invites Daisy and Gatsby to his house, and Gatsby's so nervous that he slips out of the house when Daisy arrives, and it seems like he got there after her.
Yeah.
All in all, a novel that's one of the greats for a reason.
Yeah. It's a great American novel, man.
Yeah, so the next one is American Psycho, about wealth and power and stature.
And all, like just trying to fit in. Right, which is Gatsby's great flaw is like he's trying to fit in and he can't fit in. He ends up not fitting in. He's an isolated weirdo.
If people are there, nobody is because it's an insane, unreasonable pace at which we're reading. But if people listen to this and they want to read American Psycho in the next 2 weeks, what should they look out for? Because, like, theoretically, these great American novel modules are meant to compare the two. So, like, we just came off Gatsby. Yeah. Like, what should people look for?
I would say the dehumanization of mega wealth, right? The comparison between the wealth of the flappers and the wealth of the yuppies, like where that money comes from and what it does to the people who consume in mass amounts because of it, and how it shapes a society into conformity in a way that outside of money you don't see quite as much because money is driven by consumerism, and consumerism is all about having the same stuff or better stuff than anybody else.
Right.
And so when you're talking
the best business card,
and when you're talking about wealth, you're talking about in the case of American Psycho, the parallel there is immorality and the fantasy of well, you have everything that you want. What can satisfy you? And in Great Gatsby, it would be Daisy, but then we know that Daisy ultimately wouldn't satisfy him because once he gets Daisy,
he doesn't have to do with it.
Yeah, and it becomes about after he gets Daisy, it becomes not about having Daisy, it becomes about resetting time so that he can go back to the past. And
no
like
one else ever,
destroying Tom, right? He wants to destroy Tom. And for Patrick Bateman, it is about like, well, if I have everything, how do I maintain the high of my life? And you might only be able to match that high by doing really, really atrocious things.
Right.
So Gatsby's not a psychopath. Gatsby's not hurting anyone necessarily, but the search for
meaning.
Yeah, meaning, but the search
community.
The search for meaning, the search for community, the search for admiration, and this need to be important. That parallels pretty nicely with Patrick Bateman.
If you're following along with the films, American Psycho is a much better adaptation than Gatsby.
Yeah, Ellis has a problem with the American Psycho adaptation. I think it's perfect. I think it is a near perfect adaptation.
Stephen King also has an issue with The Shining, so like who don't trust authors.
Yeah, I think Mary Harron is a brilliant director, and
they're supposedly maybe making it again.
The Luca Guadagnino
maybe
one, which is a modernized version of it, which I might be interested in, but to me, the period piece aspect of American Psycho, yuppies, Wall Street, 80s, really is important. I mean, there might be a version of it now that is really politically on the nose with like Trump stuff.
Sure.
Because I mean, specifically because Patrick Bateman's hero in American Psycho is Donald Trump. So that's an on the nose political parallel, which is really strange because Bret Easton Ellis now is a guy that like really does dig Trump and likes him. So that's like bizarre to me that he would clock this monstrous evil in the early 90s
and then
and 80s and then kind of like come around on it and be like, no, this is actually fine.
We'll talk more about that in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that strikes me as very strange.
Just keep reading.
Today's crime is I guess just dealing drugs.
Go listen to Lord's Green Light theme song.